Is Arabia and Asia on your bucket list for that next vacation? Stay tuned as we explore the pearls of Arabia with Seabourn Cruises. My special guest today is Sheri Clarke. Sheri is a well-traveled and experienced travel advisor and has been designing custom one-of-a-kind bucket list vacations for her clients for the last 20 plus years. Hi, Sheri. Welcome back to RTE Travel Talk.
Hey, Ken, it's great to see you. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. It's great to have you back with us, Sheri,
Mhm.
because I just have a ton of questions on this Seabourn cruise because I know it was the Pearls of Arabia and India on the
Yes.
Seabourn Encore, 16 days. And beyond that, you had quite an adventure, I think, even pre and post. But I don't know whether we're going to have time to get into that today. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your cruise with Seabourn, Sheri?
Oh, sure. Yeah, this was our first time sailing Seaboard. I have sold Seaboard before, but it was our first time sailing on her, and always heard why, or always heard how dedicated people are of their clients. They like to come back year over year over year. So I really wanted to experience to see why it has such loyal customers. And by being on her, I certainly found that out. And of course, we were on her for 16 days with several sea days, more sea days than I've ever had. I got to find out, yeah, I got to meet, get to know a lot of the people on the ship, and it was really a lovely, lovely experience.
Talk to me a little bit about the demographic you would find on a Seabourn cruise. What were your fellow
So
guests?
people are going to look like us for the most part. I thought
Mhm.
at first I might be the youngest one on the ship, and I'm in my late 50s. Um, there's a couple people that were with their parents, so some younger people that were with their parents, like in their 30s. But it's going to be 55 and up, but very active, very social, and again, very loyal. Some of these people were all, this was part of a world cruise. So we were the 16 days within that. Some
Okay.
people had been on it, 16 to 30 to 40 days prior. So the demographics are usually people that will sail longer and are very loyal to Seabourn.
So probably a little bit older crowd, but there were still some young folks on. Tell me about the Seabourn Encore. How do the staterooms compare? And, for size with perhaps, I don't know, Oceania or some of these other to luxury cruise lines.
Yeah. So, the nice thing about Seabourn, and when you're sailing it as a travel agent, or when you're sailing on it, or every single one of them are all oceanfront suites. So there's no interior ocean views. They all have a balcony. They're very luxuriously appointed. They have walk-in closets, really
Wow.
nice bathrooms. Yeah, really nice bathrooms with double vanities and a tub, even, which is really a nice thing to have. We were in a lead-in veranda cab, but they're larger than your average stateroom. I would say, though, in comparison to like an Oceania, they were about the same size and the same feel of luxury. That walk-in closet was a nice perk when you're,
Yeah.
especially when you're going to be on there for so long. And that's one of the reasons why they do it, because they do tend to have longer voyages.
So in terms of service and activities on board, Sheri, how did you find them?
Really, what they are known for is their intuitive service.
Okay.
And so you think, okay, how much better can it be, right? I mean, I've had good service on ships typically, and I don't know what it is. There's just something about all the service on board. They just are really good. Of course, the size of the ship helps. So, we don't have as many people. It holds around 600, and hers only had about 350 on it. So
Oh,
they
wow.
really get to know who you are, what your likes and dislikes are. It's just part of it. They're just genuine people. I think it's a 1-to-1 staff member to guest ratio on Seabourn. It's just really a great experience with that.
With Seabourn, is
Mhm.
it pretty much all inclusive when you sail with Seabourn, or are there extras involved?
No, and that's really a lovely thing. It is an all-inclusive ship. You do get everything from your gratuity. The gratuities are not ever expected. So you're not even like prepaying gratuities. But I will say, you get to know these people so well, our bartenders, or, a certain person, we might hand them a little extra here and there, but it's not expected. So yeah, so everything is included there. One of the nice things about their complimentary spirit program is they even give you a choice for a couple of bottles on board if you're like to have yourself a cocktail before you go out or while you get dressed. So we had a bottle of wine and a couple of our favorite libations. And so, you don't get that normally. You don't get bottle service, like large bottle service included on
Right.
board. As a matter of fact, we had ours left over. And, it's because we don't drink that much. If you're a champagne lover, listen, champagne is always available on this ship from the time you walk on that door until you leave. Complimentary champagne going at all times. All the restaurants are also included. So a lot of times you'll have nice restaurants, right, that you make reservations for on other ships, but they're an additional cost.
Right.
They're not here. Yeah, it truly is very nice, lovely dining everywhere you go.
So how many restaurants were actually on board, Sheri?
So there's actually 5 on this particular ship, which is really, for the size of ship, it's really nice to have the different selections. Yeah, so you always have your main dining, of course,
Yeah.
and then you have the 4 other ones that either you have to make a reservation for in advance before you get on the ship if you want particular days, or you can go up and see if anything is available or call the day of. One of our favorites is they had a really nice sushi bar on board, or sushi restaurant, and just really nice experience. And for anybody who loves sushi, it certainly is a nice little treat to have that as well.
So you mentioned that the champagne was freely flowing.
Mhm.
So what kind of atmosphere do you actually find on board? Is it relaxed or is it kind of more formal?
Really, it is kind of like, if you think of a country club casual, that's really how they are. It
Okay.
is casual but elegant. People will be not always have a suit tie on, but they'll have maybe a jacket and a polo shirt for the men, and the ladies a nice sundress, depending on where you are, or pantsuit. And during the day, just about anything goes, but in the evening, it's of course a little bit more formal. They did
Okay.
have 2 formal nights, which a lot of the luxury ships are going away with, but they do have them there. If you didn't want to do the whole 9 yards, you certainly didn't have to. You just go to one of the other, like the outdoor restaurants or something. The food on there was fabulous. They're also known for their seabourn experiences. And one of that is the caviar and the surf. So that was really a neat experience that I got to see, like, on the second day there. And so they actually bring out this big surfboard, and it's a big deal. The captain comes with a big bullhorn, and they're with the hotel manager, and we're coming in, and everybody is in the surf, and they bring the caviar and the champagne. They put a big surfboard out, and they serve it to everybody in the surf. So we
Oh,
had
wow.
that.
So you're kind of close inshore, and then you just go into shore and go out into a lagoon or something with a
Yeah,
surfboard.
yeah. So
Oh,
this was
very
in
neat.
the we get to do it in the UAE. They're very much known for that. Of course, that's all included. Caviar comes out a lot during the cruise. So that was really, and it's actually really good. I've had caviar before that I didn't really like, and this was very good.
Oh, fantastic. Who's a good fit for Seabourn, Sheri?
I think it's anybody that enjoys really nice food. They like that kind of country club casual experience,
Right.
and that and appreciate the good service. It's going to be about the same type of cost for a guest who is maybe sailing on a suite in a celebrity type of a ship. So if you
Okay.
think about that clientele, then they can easily translate over to a smaller ship. I think too, as we get older, and I'll speak for myself, I do like the smaller ships. I like some of the amenities and some of the shows, the larger ships, but I'm willing to not have as many choices like that, and have not the crowds that we're having. And let me say, the entertainment on this ship, although that's not a lot of variety, absolutely fabulous. You listen to these people sing, and you like, why aren't they on Broadway? They were that good. Uh,
Wow. Wow.
yeah, that was a really refreshing tape. They were all stars, amazing.
No, super. So just before we move on, because I really want to hear a little bit about your actual itinerary, but what would you say, if you had to sum it up, on Seabourn and the ship, was the thing that stands out most for you?
Without a doubt, the service.
So the Pearls of Arabia and India with Seabourn.
Yes.
I want to know all about it. So what were some of the highlights of the cruise?
The cruise itself, it's wonderful,
Hmm.
but the itinerary was really a lovely itinerary, starting off in Dubai, which
Right.
is, again, is one of those cities that I would always wanted to go to. So an absolutely incredible city. We can talk about the pre if we have time, but it did start in Dubai, and really a lovely city to go to. So, and then some of the other highlights, of course, it does say India, but unfortunately we didn't get to go to India.
Okay. How come?
Well, and this is what happens, especially right now. I mean, this was one of the first ships that were even sailing around some of that Southeast Asia. And
Okay.
India just didn't know that they weren't aware if they had enough of the people to service everybody. It really wasn't a health issue, it was a service issue. And India was just not up and prepared to even take our small ship. And so they made the decision, Seabourn, after talking to the authorities, that they just didn't feel like we were going to get the experience that we normally would have gotten in India. It was a big bummer. Everybody was really upset about it,
Mm.
but this is part of the flexibility you just have to have in this post-COVID world. I mean, it just happens.
You gotta kind of roll with it as it comes.
Really, they were
Yeah.
looking out for their guest, and that's what it comes down to. So what we did instead is we went down to the Maldives. So we're
Okay.
Maldives. So I mean,
Yeah.
not a bad, trade
That,
off.
that's not a bad substitution.
Yeah. And again, that was was a spot that I've always wanted to go to.
Yeah.
But what I found out there, you don't really want to go to Malay. You really want to go to the resort. So that's why you go to the Maldives, and of course we didn't have time. That was just a one night, but I did get to snorkel in, the ocean there, which is, that's what you see all the pictures, and it was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, sometimes you get the, a little bit of a trade-off there, but that was a nice trade-off for sure. We did go to Indonesia and Malaysia, and they just weren't really, they had not seen outsiders for a long time. So especially in Indonesia, and it was a small town. I can't remember the town off the top of my head. It's a small little village, but they had the tsunami, years ago,
Yeah.
right? But they wiped out some of their ability to take people in, and then COVID, of course, struck them all out. When we pulled up to this village, and it was a small little village, the entire village came out to welcome us. They were genuinely so excited. We went to an elementary school, and they you could tell, had practiced for months because we were the first ship to come since COVID.
Wow.
So they had been practicing forever for this whole, and they showed us their traditional dance. It was the sweetest thing. And I'm talking 5 and 6 years old. It was an elementary school. And one little boy you could tell he was been practicing his English, and, hello, how are you? And that was what he knew in English. And it was
Yeah.
genuinely one of the sweetest stops I've ever had on a port anytime I've cruised, and I've cruised over 70 times. So this was really a neat experience.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So Malaysia, Indonesia, the Maldives, and
Thailand.
then
And
in
we were in
Bali.
Thailand. Yeah, we went to Phuket too. No
Okay.
Bali.
And then you're finished up in Singapore.
Correct. Yes.
What was your what would have been your favorite port along the way?
My taking, the thing that was so beautiful was Phuket. Part of our distinctive voyage program is that we give complimentary shore excursion with the host, myself, in this instance. And that's where we had our complimentary full day shore excursion there. And it was absolutely fantastic. Phuket is gorgeous.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. You mentioned earlier that this cruise that you took was part of a much longer vacation that you had in Asia. Let's spend some time and give me some of the highlights of your pre-cruise and your post-cruise experiences.
So for us, if you're flying over there, and which is a long flight,
Yeah.
let's get a little bit more in. That 16-day cruise was a long cruise, but it wasn't enough for us to feel like, hey, we're empty nesters now. We actually started in the UAE. We flew into Abu Dhabi.
Right.
And spent a day there, which is truly the Disney of the UAE. And by that, I mean so clean, so manicured, so safe. I mean, could not have been more impressed with a city than I was with Abu Dhabi. And then we went out, and there's of course, it's all desert, but the desert in between is called the Dark Quarter. That's in between Abu Dhabi and Dubai. And we stayed at the Amaha, which is a Marriott property. Absolutely our favorite resort, the most luxurious resort we've ever stayed in. It's an all-inclusive resort, so you get activities like falconry, camel riding. So I rode my first camel. My husband and I had, again, one of the best experiences we've ever had, which was the two of us dined in the middle of the desert by candlelight. They drove us way out, away from everything. We're just by ourselves. They brought all the food, had everything nicely set up on the sand, and we had an incredible experience there.
Wow. Wow.
So it's a must, in my opinion. And this is, again, one of the places I've always wanted to go to. I saw it early in my career, and I'm like, I'm going to do that one day.
And did you do anything in Singapore on the back end of the cruise?
The back end, we stayed in Singapore. And again, another incredibly immaculate city, so safe. That's the theme of all the places we went to. Very safe, very clean. You do not see graffiti. You do not see trash on the roads. Nobody's sitting there begging for food. And so it is really a nice a comfortable way to travel. If you're a single female, absolutely you could travel this area by yourself. You would be 100% okay. Singapore, of course, is very modern, and we spent a couple of days there and really enjoyed our time there. And it's a must see, in my opinion. It's a great city.
So, Sheri, this type of experience that you put together, you specialize in kind of unique vacations, right? Where somebody comes to you and say, you know what, I want to do this cruise, but what else can we do? Tell me a little bit about how you package these vacations together for some of your clients.
Yeah, so we do specialize in bucket list trips, if you will.
Right.
And again, it's so far to go over there. Like the 16-day cruise is a long time, but if you have that extra time, yeah, to do a pre and a post. So what we always do is we work with local in-country partners. And even once I've been there, I'll still work with an in-country partner. They just know all the ins and outs, what day's better. Like it can be flexible, like, hey, the weather's going to do this. So I know this area, so I'm going to flip a schedule. That's what we did several times to avoid rain, and make sure they get the most out of the business. So we do specialize with work with several different in-country partners all over the world. So that way we know our guests are being treated to the utmost, the best kind of experience that they can have.
Sure. And it really makes sense if you're planning this type of bucket list vacation to have the services of an expert travel advisor in your corner, because
Right.
you yourself as a traveler, you're not going to know these in-country partners and
No.
you haven't had a chance to vet them. So it really makes sense to
And
have that.
that's the biggest thing, is the vetting part that you mentioned. So we
Yeah.
do have a program with travel leaders where they have vetted in-country partners all over the world. You can pull up anything on Google. My gosh, people make a
Sure.
really good website, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of money and time and entrusting your own personal self to these people, right? In a foreign country. So the services we use, I can't rave enough about it. I even had one of my tour guides actually send me a lotus flower after I got home. So it was really,
Yeah.
you just make friends with people when you travel. It's just really a neat experience. So
And lifetime memories as a result.
without a doubt, lifetime
Yeah.
memories. The Vietnam, again, I cannot stress how welcomed we felt in Vietnam. It was incredible. The school children would run up to us. It was because we were there, of course, during the holidays.
And that's the wonderful thing about travel is you get to experience other cultures, and there's all kinds of surprises that you'll come
Absolutely.
across.
It was really neat to experience their religion, their culture, see it all. We saw lots of temples, and they were incredible. It was really neat to experience that.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. If folks wanted to reach out to you, Sheri, about a bucket list vacation, what's the best way for them to do that?
So usually the best way is to reach out via email. This is our busy season. We have never been busy as our agency. And so we're on the phones a lot, talking to suppliers, doing things like that during the day. So there's a couple of different ways. If you email me, then I also use the Calendly link. So you can always just click on my calendar after we communicate that we can work together, and then we can set up a phone conversation, which can be on the phone or through Zoom. Just depends on what
Mhm.
everybody wants.
So, for the benefit of our podcast listeners, your email address and your best phone number are?
My phone number is 615-800-7239. And then my email is Sheri. Sheri is spelled SHERI at pttravel.com. That's P as in Paul, T as in Tom, travel.com.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, Sheri, this has been absolutely great information. I always like to ask my guests, where are you off to now?
I have a well anticipated trip. It was supposed to be in 2020, and
Right.
then we rescheduled for 22, and now we're going to the Holy Land in Egypt. I leave on April 21st. So cannot be more excited for this group that has hung in there like troopers, and we're going to be taking off to the Holy Land.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. We've never done anything on the Holy Land. We'll have to have you back to regale us with your adventures in the Holy Land. Sound like a
I
plan?
would love to come back for that. Yes,
All
Ken,
right.
thank you very much.
Well, that's wonderful, Sheri. And with that, I'm just going to wish you safe and happy travels on all your future cruises and adventures. May the wind always be on your back, and I hope to see you on a Lido deck sometime soon.
Sounds great, Ken. Thank you for having me.
Take care. And that about wraps it up for today, folks. A very special thanks to my guest, Sheri Clarke of PT Travel. If you'd like to reach Sheri, I will leave her contact information in the description. If you'd like to reach us, simply send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com. Visit our website, realtravelexperts.com, or simply leave a comment. We always respond. And as always, folks, if you enjoy this content, a like, a subscribe, and a ring of the bell is certainly appreciated and helps us to spread the word. So until next time, happy travels.